Hello everyone, my name's Cliff and welcome back to my channel. This is Cliff's Dark Gems. Today we're going to be talking about horror book covers. The good, the bad and the ugly, and we're going to talk a little bit about modern publishing trends and why I yearn for the good old days. Stay tuned. Now everyone, what is the first thing you do when you walk into a bookshop? What is the first thing that catches your eye? That's right, it's book covers. And now that used to be something that I really loved. But now I would much rather be looking at a second-hand bookshop and browsing the covers, because I would probably find some paperbacks from hell, some good old vintage classics, and some of the old tatty covers of 70s and 80s. When I say tatty, it's very difficult to find more absolutely perfectly made covers anymore. Now I must say, I would much rather be reading this than reading this. I would much rather be owning this one. That is because if you just look at that cover, it's menacing. It tells you what is in the story. It gives you a sense that this book is a horror and that you're going to be scared. This book does not do that. This book tells you very little about the genre. It tells you very little about what to expect when you start reading the book. Yes, you may know about the author Stephen King. You may know about his reputation. But when you start reading his book, it doesn't basically show you what the cover is and what's inside. The two do not coincide. And I find that a little bit sad. Now, I avoid larger stores, larger bookstores. For us in South Africa, that's exclusive books, for two reasons. Number one, they're horrifically expensive. And number two, when you're walking between the aisles, it is very difficult to distinguish between horror, thriller, crime, mystery, because so many of the book covers look similar or the same. Now I want to give you two examples of what I find bad book covers. Bland, boring book covers. That is, first of all, Dean Koontz, The Intensity. Now looking at this cover, you would never ever figure out that this book is about a serial killer. And there is horror in there is suspense and thriller, yes, but this book tells you absolutely nothing. Second book I'd like to mention is Stephen King, The Cell. What a boring cover. It's orange and it's got a cell phone in the corner. Now, yeah, if this is the way that books are going, that is pretty sad to me. Now let me just say that not all of these covers are necessarily bad. And I know a lot of people like the more clean cut, sort of sleek style of books these days. The fact that they are kind of attractive in a different kind of way, with the graphic design. But I'm the kind of person that likes to see what I'm reading and see exactly what's inside the book. And if it's horror, I want to see that it is horror. And that is one of the problems with books today and with publishers today. So let's do a couple of comparisons. First of all, James Herbert, The Rats. Now that is not a bad cover. You do get a sense of chill. You get a sense that it is possibly going to be a scary book. But if you compare that with the original Rats, published in, I think it's late 1970s, early 1980s, that you'll find up there, this has nothing in comparison. There are no chills. There are no thrills by looking at this cover. It is bland. It is pretty boring, to be honest. Second of all, we have It. Now, this is a pretty cover. This is not a bad cover. It's beautiful, it looks like clouds and sunset. But what does this tell you about horror? What does this tell you about what's inside this book? Absolutely nothing. Now, if you compare that to the original cover of Stephen King, It, there's just so much going for it. Finally, possibly my favorite modern cover, The Shining. This is much better. I really enjoy it. You actually get the feeling of there's some kind of haunting here, and like a haunted house or something. But still, compared to the original covers, this is just clean lines, and I don't know, it is dull and boring in comparison to those. And I know some people prefer this, but I don't personally. Now another pet peeve of mine, something that I really dislike, is when they put movies that have been adapted and put that into a book cover. So basically you get this, now a major film, let the right one in, the inspiration behind Let Me In. Now give me the original any day of the week. I actually don't like it when they do this. I know that I found this in the bookshop recently and I'd lost my previous copy, so I'm very, very happy that I found this. But generally I try to avoid these books. I don't think it is right for them to plop a movie cover onto the book cover. Give me the original, please. Okay, now I'm going to give 3 examples of books that are old school, but that just did not work for me. Ranging from this one, Inheritance by Owen Brooks, which I think is a bit of a missed opportunity. I don't find anything terrifying or scary about this book. So as old school covers go, this is a failure for me. Next up we have Death and Damnation. Now this might be an unpopular opinion. You might find this quite intriguing, this cover. I find it horrible. I don't enjoy it at all. I find it ugly. That's where the good, the bad and the ugly comes in. There is no sense of death and damnation when I look at this cover. I can't even read the print over there. The font is too small. I think this is a mess. And now for a final unpopular opinion. Some of you might find this very attractive. I find it not so much messy, but too busy and doesn't do anything for me. That is John Connolly, The Gates. Now, if you look at this cover, I don't see the gates of hell, really. I see just a whole bunch of different colors that don't match. I see a boy walking his dog at the bottom of the gates of hell, apparently. I don't like the way the font, instead of going straight, is like up like that, like a smile. I know it's meant to do something, but it does absolutely nothing for me. The back is kind of cool, but yeah, there's nothing much that I enjoy about this particular cover. Okay everyone, now we're going to go into my favorite book covers, starting with some real nice vintage horror and books of hell. And some of these are quite nasty and disgusting, but to be honest with you, when you have the feel and you're looking at the book, this is what I want in my hands when I'm reading horror. I want to see the book and feel the book and feel what's inside. And I think that's true for most horror lovers. Other people might find, this is disgusting, but if you enjoy horror, this is what you want. You want horror, and you want horror on the cover as well. This first one I was might have been a little bit much, but I still think it's a very interesting cover. And some of these are very gory. This is Ramsey Campbell, The Face That Must Die. And that little switchblade thing, I don't know what you call those, the old-fashioned shavers, and you can see the blood and you can see the faces all cut up. Now that is a bit much, but hey, that's why they call it horror. Okay, the next one is a personal favourite of mine, and that is The Doll Who Ate His Mother by Ramsey Campbell. Now check this out. And I love the way that little creepy bald-headed doll is actually looking straight at you while it's crawling out there. It just gives it such a creepy, horrific effect. So this is actually, I think, one of my favourite vintage covers, and I haven't seen much like this before, including the name of the title, of course. And next up we have a truly gruesome cover, but it perfectly fits what the book is about and the content inside. I've spoken about Clive Barker, I've spoken about Books of Blood, and this is probably the best cover out of all the volumes. Volume 4, Books of Blood. Okay, and if that's not disgusting and disturbing, then I don't know what is. And the fact that this guy's got this grin on his face while his head's being pulled apart and you're seeing his brain and his whole body is pretty visceral and disgusting stuff. That is Books of Blood. Okay, next we come up to some truly terrifying Graham Masterton covers. Some of them are really shocking. And the first one is called Death Dream. He'll have you screaming for more. That is really scary. And it's got a demon hand bursting out of a child's screaming mouth, out of the head. You've got these raking fingerprints on the wall with the blood dripping. This is a gruesome cover. And the second Graham Masterton is also terrifying, psychotic, and that is Walkers. Now, this just gives me the feeling that just absolute chills of being in a mental asylum, the kind of the sense of no escape. Yeah, these are also two of my favorite covers. The next one is slightly more understated, but I still love the colors, and this is something I miss in book covers, is that sense of painting, and that is T.M. Wright Boundaries. Now, as I said, the painting and the blending of the colors and the creepy look in that girl's eyes and the eyes on the horizon, I just think this is beautifully done, and you don't see covers like this anymore. Okay everyone, those are the end of my vintage books that I think have great covers. Now we're going to talk about 4 of my favorite covers in my collection, starting with Haunted by Chuck Palahniuk. And that's how you present his name, because I looked it up, and I absolutely love this cover. If you look at those startled eyes peering through the darkness, and then you open it up and you get that, and that's just truly creepy and awesome. And it's beautiful in its simplicity. I love the side as well, and the dark haunted that you can hardly see on the black there as well, and just all round it's a beautiful book. That is Haunted. Secondly, we got Stephen King, Nightmares and Dreamscapes. Now, I love this cover, and that scarecrow just pops out at you. I love the color scheme, the red and the gold, and the scarecrow in the road. It's just a beautiful, beautiful cover. And nice picture of Stephen King at the back. And this is one of my favorite in my collection. Now, there are a lot of excellent Stephen King novel covers back in the 70s and 80s. I used to own more of them, like The Shining, and there are so many, but unfortunately I don't own them anymore. But here is another one, and that is 4 Past Midnight by Stephen King. And I absolutely adore this cover as well. And you see on the top right corner that monster demon is perched up on the clock with the full moon above his head, and he's just ready to leap at any moment. Yeah, gorgeous. And I love the framing as well around the side of the book. And another picture of Stephen King. And yeah, all in all, this is a gorgeous hardcover. I would like to get another copy because it's a little bit tacky, but another favorite in my collection. And finally, possibly my favorite book cover of all time, and I just absolutely love this cover, and that is Clive Barker's Wee World. There's just so much going on in this cover. It is basically a magic carpet bordering around a magic man in the middle that's almost on fire, a light, and I just think it's so effective. And unlike that other book that I mentioned earlier where I said it was too busy, this is busy, but I find it just so pleasing on the eye. And even the back is gorgeous. It just promises that it's going to take you away to another world of magic and wonder, and boy does it deliver. Now, I don't think there are many other covers as awesome as this. I think the Great and Secret Show and the Magica might be done in a similar way, but I don't own those particular versions. But I have to say that this rebuild is just awesome. Okay, so everyone, in conclusion, I would just like to say that I'm kind of sad that I really think the magic and in case of horror, the terror has gone out of those book covers that you see, that you used to see back in the day. And I think that's sad. I'm not sure if it's just about marketing and money at putting these books that are horror and thriller and adventure and all that all just together is just maybe to reach a wider audience, or it's just that the world's gone soft and don't like that stuff from the 70s and 80s anymore. And it's kind of sad. It's nostalgic looking back at something that I really treasured when I was younger. So anyway, what do you guys think? What do you think of my choices? What do you think of my covers? Do you like any of these that I disliked? I'd love to hear from you in the comments down dark below, and please be sure to like and subscribe. And as always, take care of yourselves, keep those pages turning. Cheers.